No one saw this coming. Just when the entire MotoGP world believed Marc Márquez had wrapped up the Dutch Grand Prix with a flawless result, shocking news emerged from race direction just hours after the race. The Ducati rider was officially handed a penalty that altered his finishing position and put valuable championship points at risk. What exactly did Márquez do to deserve the penalty, and why has the decision sparked such intense debate? Let's discuss. Marc Márquez had actually delivered one of his most disciplined performances of the season at the Assen circuit. After facing numerous challenges in previous rounds, the Spanish rider adopted a much more cautious approach. Rather than forcing risky overtakes, he avoided unnecessary battles and focused on bringing his Ducati safely across the finish line. The strategy worked exactly as planned. Márquez maintained a consistent pace throughout the race, stayed out of trouble, and secured what appeared to be a solid result. Many analysts even praised his mature race management, noting that he prioritized consistency over chasing victory with high-risk moves. However, everything changed just a few hours after the checkered flag. Race direction announced that Marc Márquez had officially received a penalty for exceeding track limits during a battle with Fabio Di Giannantonio of the VR46 racing team. The decision immediately ignited widespread debate throughout the paddock and across social media. Many fans were left wondering how a rider who seemed to make almost no mistakes during the race could end up being penalised after the finish. The incident under review occurred while Márquez and Fabio Di Giannantonio were engaged in an intense fight for position. As the two riders entered a corner side by side, Márquez was forced to run wide after finding himself with very little room. Unable to hold the ideal racing line, his bike crossed onto the green-painted area beyond the track limits. At first glance, the incident appeared to be nothing more than a typical racing situation. Many viewers believed Márquez had little choice, as he was under heavy pressure from the VR46 rider. However, MotoGP's track limits regulations are extremely strict. Riders are not allowed to gain any advantage by crossing onto the green runoff area outside the circuit, even if the violation lasts only a brief moment. After reviewing all available camera footage, GPS data, and telemetry, race direction concluded that Márquez had violated the track limits rule and deserved a penalty. As a result of the ruling, Marc Márquez's final race result was officially revised. His original sixth-place finish was dropped to 7th after the time penalty was applied. That change cost him one valuable position in the final classification. Although the numerical loss may seem relatively small, the decision attracted significant attention because it demonstrated race direction's commitment to enforcing the regulations consistently, regardless of a rider's reputation or achievements. It didn't take long for the ruling to trigger a massive wave of debate across social media. Thousands of comments poured in from fans, analysts, and former riders, all sharing their opinions on the penalty handed to Marc Márquez. Some fans argued that the punishment was excessively harsh, claiming Márquez did not intentionally exceed the track limits and was simply trying to avoid contact that could have led to an even bigger incident with his rival. On the other hand, many people supported race direction's decision. They argued that the rules must be applied fairly and consistently, regardless of a rider's star status or the circumstances of the race. If track limits violations were overlooked simply because they occurred during a close battle, it could create an unfair precedent for other riders who had previously received penalties for similar offences. The debate once again highlighted how MotoGP is placing an even greater emphasis on consistency in enforcing its regulations. Every violation, no matter how minor, is carefully reviewed under the rules in place. Although the decision sparked mixed reactions among fans and analysts, race direction stressed that every rider must be held to the same standard to preserve fairness and sportsmanship on the track. Despite losing one position, many analysts still considered Marc Márquez's weekend to be a positive one overall. His main priority at Assen was not simply fighting for another podium finish, but ensuring he stayed physically fresh after several physically demanding race weekends. His more measured approach suggested that Márquez is now focusing on the long-term championship battle rather than taking unnecessary risks in a single race. Even more encouraging for Márquez is that the next round will take place at Sachsenring, a circuit that has long been regarded as one of his strongest tracks. With its layout perfectly suited to his riding style, many believe the Ducati rider will once again be one of the leading favourites to fight for victory. Our next story focuses on Toprak Razgatlioglu. The Dutch Grand Prix weekend proved to be another difficult test for the Turkish rider as he continues adapting to life in MotoGP. Since the beginning of the season, Toprak has been one of the most talked about names in the paddock. As a World Superbike champion, many fans expected him to become competitive almost immediately in the Premier class. Expectations were even higher because Assen was one of the circuits he knew extremely well from his years in World SBK. However, MotoGP has proven to be far more challenging than many anticipated. Toprak's biggest obstacle has not been his bravery or his ability to control the motorcycle. Instead, the greatest challenge comes from the fundamentally different characteristics of a MotoGP bike compared to a superbike. The far more advanced aerodynamics, highly sophisticated electronics, ride height devices, and completely different braking characteristics have all made the adaptation process significantly tougher than expected. Every corner demands a different approach, while every lap provides another opportunity to better understand a motorcycle he has not yet fully mastered. As a result, Toprak is still struggling to maintain consistent lap times throughout an entire race. Rather than making excuses or blaming external factors, Toprak has taken a realistic approach to evaluating his performances. He openly admitted that MotoGP presents a much greater challenge than he had originally expected. According to him, there are still many technical aspects he needs to understand and master, including the bike's characteristics, riding techniques, tyre management and electronic systems, before he can consistently compete with the world's best riders. His comments reflected the maturity of a world champion who understands that success in World SBK does not automatically translate into immediate results in MotoGP. Toprak recognises that every racing category has its own unique characteristics and requires a significant period of adaptation. History has also shown that many great riders needed considerable time before they truly found their rhythm, confidence, and peak performance in the Premier class. Although the result at Assen fell short of expectations, the experience remains a valuable step forward for Toprak. Every lap he completes provides new data that will help both him and his team accelerate the development process and refine his riding style. His determination and never-give-up attitude continue to give fans confidence that he will gradually unlock his true potential in MotoGP. What do you think? Did Marc Márquez deserve the track limits penalty? And can Toprak Razgatlioglu find his best form in MotoGP sooner rather than later? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.